Welcome to MLS Roundup from We Are Soccer. I'm Craig Hearn. I've got with me Soccer Syndicate scout Brooks Lambier, and today we're going to chat about the news that broke about Bob Bradley and LAFC parting ways mutually. News broke, Brooks. It's big news in the MLS. What's your thoughts on it, man? Bob Bradley and LAFC. It's no longer a marriage. So, what's your thoughts, buddy?
I think a lot of people, it was kind of talked about, in the end of the season is who's going to leave. Is it going to be Bob? Is it going to be Carlos? Because a lot of League MX teams want to buy Carlos Vela.
Mm-hmm.
Was it maybe a GM move? Removal of John Thornton and hiring someone else, or two guys leaving and one staying. There's a whole bunch of different scenarios that a lot of soccer writers are talking about, and I think Bob was there. He started it. He did a very good job to start it. But Bob is a guy that I believe understands very much like Theo Epstein, of the big baseball GM of the Cubs and Red Sox is,
Mm-hmm.
he has like a 10-year period he uses of like, I'll be a GM for 10 years of this team, but I'm not going to go anymore. I think Bob kind of has that limit of, hey, we've kind of run our course here. I think it's time for a little change. Uh, and he knows he can walk away from something and he can go get another job somewhere. Because there's some other team out there, whether it's, a national team or an MLS team or another, club around the world that would hire him as a coach. Cause he's coached in Norway, he's coached in England, he's coached the Egyptian national team, the U.S. men's national team, he's coached a bunch of MLS teams. So, Bob is a very well-established guy, and I think he just understood it was the time to walk away and something he needed to change, and good for him.
Yeah.
It's nice when you can walk away on your own terms.
Absolutely, absolutely, and like you said, a very well-respected coach. He's been around the world. Everybody knows him. Everybody knows what he can bring. What he brought to LAFC was 58 wins, 34 losses, and 32 draws for a total of 206 points. That's actually a pretty good record. That's a really good record for someone entering, someone in the MLS. And obviously, it's not his first stint in the MLS. And I want to make sure people understand. They won the Supporters Shield. LAFC won the Supporters Shield in 2019, and they had 3 consecutive playoff appearances. They missed it this year, finishing 9th in the Western Conference. And I think you're right. It was time for Bob to walk away. There are other opportunities out there within MLS that probably appeal to him. He may just want to jump in and be the GM. Maybe he wants to jump in and be the GM and the coach. We'll wait to see. I thought it was interesting. I read something as soon as this news broke. Brian Dunseth of SiriusXM FC had actually predicted this back in April, I believe it was, that Bob would be walking away from this job. And he went as far as Brian Dunseth went as far to say that he's probably going to take the Toronto FC job. Have you heard that? What are your thoughts on that? And what are your thoughts on where he does go next? Give me a prediction, man.
Yeah. And again, kind of like before I jump into that, just kind of you stay in like kind of the facts. I think the biggest downfall was in that second year when they were just running the table, and after the second or third year after their expansion, when they were just running the table in the Western Conference, when they were unstoppable, and they did well in CONCACAF Champions League. I think the biggest downfall was them not winning MLS Cup, because they were definitely surefire, one of the top offensive teams that you just get in. You never wanted to get an open back and forth play with them, because you knew that they would put a bunch of goals in the back of the net. So I think that was the downfall there of like maybe Bob saying, hey, like that's the one thing I never got was an MLS Cup with LAFC, but the Supporters Shield's huge. Now, in terms of the TFC news, I had seen some stuff on Twitter with that. And I think it's interesting. Maybe it's Bob just saying, hey, I want to coach Michael, for the last couple of years and I want to be close to family, because Michael has a son, Luca, and, maybe Bob just wants to be a little close to the family. And Toronto is willing to spend money. They have in the past. They're willing to go out and buy international players and to be successful. And it's a good organization with a good academy. They have a second team. They have a very good pyramid involved in structure in that organization where I think that is a solid move for Bob Bradley if he decides to go there. I'm trying to think of any other job that's open right now. So Houston would be that one. I don't think Houston is the job for Bob. I think, for me, I think Pat Onstad will go a different direction with that one. And I'm not sure Bob would want to take that job, to be honest with you, because it's a big rebuild.
Yeah.
I think Bob wants to go somewhere right away where he can make an impact and win, and that's Toronto. Obviously, today Chicago Fire just hired the head assistant coach Ezra from Columbus Crew, who's been at Seattle with the Sounders too, and he was an assistant with Ziggy Schmid at Seattle. So that position's been filled. I'm trying to think if there's any other position that's open right now. I think just the Houston job and then TFC are the two. Well, and Vancouver, if they don't hire the interim head coach, but their season's not done yet. So there are still, there are things that can happen. But I think TFC makes sense. Again, to coach Michael, to be closer to family, it's an organization that easily will throw the money, whatever Bob wants. So if Bob goes to TFC, I really expect them. I mean, their roster is turning over a bit. Some of the guys are retiring that have been there for a very long time, like Justin Morrow. Michael Bradley's at the end of his career. Does that mean Josie Altidore stays at TFC now that Bob's there? Because Bob did coach Josie, and Josie had some issues with the last head coach before they fired him. Chris Armas, they had some stuff that they didn't see eye to eye with. And then the interim head coach came in, and they didn't really do too much after that, finishing the bottom of the Eastern Conference. So, So, I mean, I think that's a team. If Bob steps in, he can make an impact. They can win. And it's a good soccer city, Toronto, and it's an interesting job.
It sounds like it'd probably be a pretty good spot for him to land. Now, Bob Bradley is 63. He's got a few years left. There's a lot of coaches who coach well into their 60s and early 70s. He's not going to take too many more jobs, though. So this could be a job he takes for a good 3, 4, 5 years, kind of rides it out, coaches his son, gets Josie back on the horse again, who's had a slack couple of years. So you might be right, man. It would be a good fit. I don't see him leaving for a national team job unless it's a big one. I don't see a Premiership club coming for him. So I think it's going to be MLS, and with the lack of and there could be more openings, right? The season hasn't finished. We're just entering the playoffs, so there could be more openings coming once the season officially is finished. Or maybe a club right now is thinking they're on the fence about keeping a coach or letting a coach go, and they're reaching out to Bob as we speak here. So you never know. But as of right now, I think I'm going to agree. I think that the Toronto job is probably a pretty good situation for him, an ideal situation with a club who wants to spend money, like you said, and Bob has proven that he knows how to build the club and put them in the right direction. So would be a good fit.
Yeah, actually, I forgot 2 jobs that are open: RSL and FC Dallas. So I just kind of want to. I don't think RSL he'd want. FC Dallas is interesting because they've always had a good academy. And I don't know if the Hunts are looking to spend more money if they do sell Pepe. So, and that's a team that's kind of dropped off a bit. But I mean, I still think TFC is the sexy job to go after to get the head coaching position. But I did forget FC Dallas and RSL. RSL still looking, and that's to be determined because they're still in the playoffs right now, and Pablo Mastroeni is still the interim head coach right now. But yeah, those two, FC Dallas, because FC Dallas fired Luchi Gonzalez. So I forgot those 2 jobs were still open, but I don't think he'd take either of those. It'd have to be a bigger one, bigger club, like if NYCFC fired Ronnie Daly or some other club, Miami, if like Phil Neville stepped away and it was there you go, Bob Bradley, come on in and fill in, so.
I think you're right. He definitely wants that big job. He's not willing to take a small market type job. That's not a Bob Bradley situation, but we'll keep track on this. We'll do another MLS roundup once the news breaks of where Bob lands. It'll be interesting for us to keep tabs on it. All right, Brooks, thanks, buddy. Thanks for joining. We'll keep tabs on it. We'll get you back on as soon as Bob finds his next job.
Sounds good. I appreciate it.
All right, buddy.